Lesson 24, topic, mediumistic powers, their origin, the energy centers that need to be activated in the head, how those with the gift develop them, and how those without it can develop something similar with similar functionality, but not the same power. Greetings, brothers and sisters. I am Afel. He sends his regards, but he's extremely busy and cannot attend today. This is an important topic. The percentage of people like you who have developed the power of mediumship innately is usually between 10 and 20%. In reality, many people have the gift, but few have developed it. They haven't taken the necessary steps to activate all the energy centers to the required energy level. That is why I am giving this lesson. First of all living beings develop the same energy centers to communicate with the spiritual world, whether intelligent or not. The difference lies in the fact that intelligent beings can verbalize knowledge, can name it more precisely than a non-intelligent being. The non-intelligent being sees the forms of feelings, sees everything as a unity, is not capable of personalizing the concept as much as you are, cannot abstract. Intelligent beings can, and that is your trap. When a concept is verbalized, it doesn't produce the effect you think it will. You are confining it to something very limited, and you are not allowing it to grow. Therefore, it is not good to give too much importance to the left hemisphere. The right should always be in control. Having said this, which was important, you can now understand what comes next. The energy centers are the same in all living beings. They are 6 energy centers that you know. The 3 in each cerebral hemisphere and the 7th located above the other 6 in the right hemisphere. All the ones are the ones all living beings use to communicate with the invisible world. Now, the problem arises with the power of mediumship. The 7 energy centers you know are only good for producing superficial, temporary, and not very high quality communication, unless one has sufficient training. Mediums utilize all these energy centers, which are distributed throughout the brain. There are smaller energy centers, usually between 25 and 50, depending on the individual and their mental level. All these energy centers must communicate with each other and with the 7 main centers. Once communication is good, the power of communication can be unlocked, as a medium normally does. A medium communicates with any spiritual being tirelessly because their mind vibrates at the same frequency as the spiritual world, which is why they don't experience excessive fatigue. With proper training, they can endure for many hours. You already know how to open the 7 basic energy centers. Opening the remaining 25 centers depends on your DNA, your genetic centers, your genetic makeup, and your family history, especially on a mental level. The opening of these smaller energy centers may initially depend on genetics, but if these smaller energy centers are not coordinated through meditation, the communication will be of very poor quality, chaotic, lacking energy, and full of lies. Now let's see how to coordinate these smaller energy centers. For communication to be of high quality, you already know the process of awakening the 7 basic centers. Well, to awaken the 25 smaller centers in the case of people who have the gift, it's simply a matter of relaxing, activating the 7 basic centers, and waiting for the energy that comes out of these 7 energy centers to distribute throughout the brain. You will see how the effect of this energy produces energy nodules, smaller energy centers distributed throughout the brain, each in a different place. For every brain, they are different, but there are some basic centers. In any case, you will see how these centers are activated. You won't have to wait long, at most by the 2nd or 3rd meditation. By concentrating on the energy that comes out of these 7 basic energy centers, distributing throughout the brain, you will see how they begin to form. Once you have created them, you will see them very clearly, and you will see how the energy begins to communicate more easily between each of these smaller energy centers. Once the energy communicates with each other and forms a dense network, that's when your mediumistic power can begin to function at the high level that everyone should aspire to. To maintain this energy level, you must continue meditation and doing your exercise every day. Your spiritual teacher will tell you what you need to do. When the energy is coordinated in an orderly fashion among the smaller energy centers, the union of this energy will be larger. Basic energy centers will be very powerful, and your mental energy will increase exponentially. You will no longer feel tired. This will take a long time before you feel it. Your mental strength will be great, and thus you can begin to dialogue with all the spiritual beings who wish to speak with you. On other occasions, Ola has spoken about the topic of mediumship. How do you communicate with spiritual entities? It's really about the same thing, opening your mind. being attentive to the opening of the channel and watching for any approaching negative entities. If the spiritual entity is benevolent, allow it to communicate its message to you. A channel will automatically open between that spiritual entity and you. The communication will be direct and you will be able to hear its message clearly. When using a Ouija board, if the communication is of high quality, it passes through the medium at the medium's table. They usually hear it in their head. The glass moves. But in reality, the message first reaches the head. And if the opening of the mind is correct, the message is heard in the medium's head. The medium learns the message before the glass moves, and the glass only moves as a reflection of the message. All of the above applies to the case where the mind of the intelligent living being, in this case you, is capable and has the ability to open communication like a normal medium, that is, it comes from birth. If this is not the case, if the living being does not belong to this group of people, communication as a medium will be difficult. It could be briefer, less energetic, it won't be as easy to discern the lie, but it will be possible. In this case, what must be done is what I said at the beginning. Activate the 7 basic energy centers that exist in the head of every living being. Let the energy create energy nodes in the head, the small energy centers that it can. In each brain, it will be different. The more exercise is done, the more these centers will activate. And the more the communication process between the small energy centers will be reinforced. Once a certain minimum number of energy centers is reached, communication can begin. It will be basic but feasible. It won't last long. With a normal energy entity, it will be faint. It will have to be loud when the spiritual entity is very powerful. But in this case, the person's mind will be able to handle as much as it can. It all depends on their mental level, and that's all there is to it. In the case of people who don't have the gift from birth, they will have to work harder, but they can achieve something. They can use technological methods like electronic voice phenomena, psychoimaging, divination methods, tarot, crystal ball. This will open the unconscious and open your communication capacity. It's a very good way for people who are starting out. Later, if the level of mental openness increases, it will be easier to do it in the traditional way. If the mental levels of the people in the group are quite complementary, a seance could be held. If there is no medium, the most capable person who has reached a higher mental level could be chosen. To carry out this communication, you already know how to measure it. It's about the levels of energy centers that are activated. Each person through meditation knows their energy level. When you are all seated at a table, you can join hands, thus forming an energy field that unites all those minds. The person in charge of communication will have more energy and it will be more viable. That would also be a good way, but in this case, I advise proceeding with great caution because mental stability is often limited. Communication can break down and negative spiritual entities can infiltrate because the person acting as the medium does not have much capacity and can't discern at first whether it's good or bad. That's why I don't recommend this method. I advise going slowly, and automatic writing would also help. It's also a very good method if you are alone, and it really frees the mind and subconscious. To be able to communicate, this is a very good way to start, and it works for many people. It's a communication process that can be used for a long time and is usually reliable because the subconscious doesn't tend to interfere much when you have the right training. You have to shut down your left hemisphere, disconnect it so it's not paying attention to what's happening. Prevent it from taking control, letting only the right hemisphere act. You know the signs. Time seems to stand still, you observe your surroundings without stress, and you don't conceptualize anything that's happening around you. Another thing I advise is that when you're starting out and your level is low, the session time should increase regularly according to your level, but not until you reach exhaustion. If you reach exhaustion, everything you've gained is lost. Remember that those of you who aren't born mediums will see your abilities increase little by little. So until next time, brothers and sisters, greetings from me and from Ola. See you soon.